Hi beautiful souls, I hope you're all well. I had the idea last night to produce a short video giving tips on reading oracle or tarot cards. So if you're new to reading cards, this is the perfect video for you. So I'm just going to whiz through 10 different points to give you some tips if you're new to reading cards. So the first point is choosing a deck. So it can feel really overwhelming. There are so many different decks out there, and in the 90s there was less choice than there is now. So I'd say that there are 3 different types of deck mainly, which are either an affirmation deck, which is something like this, where the cards are really beautiful, uplifting, positive affirmations or quotes. Then we have oracle cards. So oracle cards are always really positive and uplifting messages. Sometimes you get oracle card decks that are a bit more aligned with your shadow self and shadow work. But on the whole, oracle card decks are normally always positive and uplifting, especially angel cards or fairy cards. And oracle cards, there's normally around 44 cards in a deck, but there can actually be any number of cards in an oracle card deck. So this is the Work Your Light deck by Rebecca Campbell, and this is an example of what one of the cards looks like in an oracle card deck. And the last type of cards that you can get are tarot. So the tarot is a traditional structured system. There's always 78 cards in a deck if it's a traditional tarot deck. Newer decks sometimes have a couple of extra cards, but generally it's the same structured system in a tarot deck where you have the 4 suits of swords, cups, wands and pentacles, with the additional 22 cards of the major arcana. So the major arcana are the cards like the Lovers, the Tower, the Star, and then you have the minor arcana cards, which are obviously the suits of wands, swords, pentacles and cups, and they're cards like the Ace of Wands, the Three of Cups. So that just kind of explains the difference between the cards. So once you've chosen a deck, I would say definitely research on the internet. If you're drawn to a particular deck, look at video reviews on YouTube to see if it's the right energy match for you. And you know, don't be disheartened if you get the cards and you don't feel an instant connection with them. I think working with cards is quite often like buying a new pair of shoes. Sometimes you buy a pair that are the perfect fit and really comfortable straight away. Others are a little bit tight and uncomfortable and need breaking in, and then they become a go-to deck, you know. And then others just aren't the right fit, you know, they're too small and you need to take the shoes back. And sometimes that's the same with cards. You might not necessarily want to take them back, but you might want to swap them with a friend, or, you know, donate them. If you don't feel that you align with the cards, that's okay. But you do need to try them out and see whether they suit your energy. So once you've chosen your deck that you're drawn to, you want to create a sacred space when working with cards. So this can be really simple, such as playing some meditation music. You might want to burn some incense, burn some candles, but it's all about setting a sacred space where you're in a quiet environment, where you won't be disturbed, where you can concentrate, because when you're working with cards, you are listening to your higher self, you are listening to spirit, and so it's really important that you have that quiet time to focus. And then the third point is you want to cleanse your deck before working with it. So, you know, it can be as simple as placing the cards in your left or right hand, depending on which is your non-dominant hand. So place the cards in your non-dominant hand and then gently knock on the top. So that knocks all the negative energy out of the cards so they're ready to work with. You can also use other ways to cleanse cards, so such as smudging, for example. So if you've got a smudge stick, burn it, and then you can put the cards in the smoke. You can use crystals. So I use selenite quite often, so placing a selenite crystal on top of the cards for a while until you feel intuitively it's cleansed the deck for you. You can also use citrine, because citrine is a very joyful crystal, very uplifting. Or you can use sound. So if you've got a singing bowl, or if you have a shamanic drum, it's basically playing the instrument and then holding the cards over the top of the instrument whilst it's chiming. Okay, so the resonance from that sacred instrument is what cleanses the cards. Then you've also got things like aura sprays, sage sprays that you can use as well. So cleanse your cards. Number 4 is calling upon your guides, okay? So your spirit guides, higher beings that want to work with you to give accurate readings. So I always start by saying, I wish to call upon my spirit guides, guardian angels, and any other beings of the highest light that wish to work with me in this lifetime. Please step forward for me now and help me deliver messages of compassion, kindness, and healing. And so when you are asking your guides to step forward and you want to connect with that energy, it's all about setting a positive intention. So your intention always needs to be positive when working with cards, okay? So, you know, allow me to hear a message that is for my greatest good. You know, it could be very simple. It could be, angels, I call upon you to help me hear a message that you wish for me to know. So whatever feels right for you. I always fan the cards out over my heart center as well. And then it's just focusing on the question that you have. So cards are really magical. They work as a mirror of your subconscious. So whatever question you have in your head is the question that will be asked. So quite often, for example, if you're reading for someone else and their question was, am I going to get a new job? But at the back of their mind, they're actually more concerned about their relationship and whether it's going to go the distance. Quite often the card that will come out will be the card that will answer the subconscious question. So, is my relationship going to work out? So, call upon your guides, set your intentions, think about your question. And as you think about your question, next you need to shuffle your deck. So point number 5 is shuffling. So I shuffle in the normal way, nothing fancy. Some people can shuffle in the Las Vegas casino style. I can't do that. But if you can, brilliant. Whatever feels right for you. And if you've got little hands, then it's okay to shuffle the cards like this, you know, whatever way feels good to you. And then when you're ready, fan the cards out in front of you. So point number 6 is drawing a card for yourself. So, you know, you can feel for energy across the cards where you're drawn, or visually, whichever card you're looking at that catches your eye and you feel like that's the card for you. Whichever card you pick is the right card to answer that question. So just go to where you're drawn in the deck. So that's your card for the reading. And the same goes for if you're reading for someone else as well. You just shuffle the cards thinking about the question your querent has asked you, and then you pull whichever card you're drawn to, or you fan your cards out and get them to pick a card, and you then interpret it. But whichever way is absolutely fine. I mean, obviously, you know, if you're in lockdown, then you can't necessarily be sat with a person and able to physically do that, so you could remotely pick a card for them. So number 6, drawing the card. Number 7 is interpreting the meaning of the card. So this is the card that we have for the example of the exercise. We have the Great Gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, soul tribe. So this is a beautiful message anyway, and some of you may take a message from that. But what you need to do in regards to cards, my advice is don't get caught up on studying the guidebook. You know, it's great when you're learning. If you want to refer to the guidebook, then feel free to do that, because cards always come with a guidebook, generally, unless they're affirmation cards, and then they don't need a guidebook. But, you know, when you're learning, you might want to refer to the guidebook. But my advice is, instead of reading the meaning in the guidebook, interpret what the card means to you. So it's studying the card, looking at the imagery on the card. What do the colours mean to you? Are the colours significant? Is there a number on the card? Is that number significant to you in some way? Is there a word that pops out? You know, is there something on the card, like an image of something that makes sense to you, that speaks to your soul? And it's okay to sit in silence, just holding the card and just allowing yourself to feel whatever comes in for you. You might even have a vision in your head or something. But it's all about using your intuition, that beautiful intuition, to interpret the card and what personal meaning it has for you. So, you know, there's lots of pinks on this card. So that to me is about heart chakra energy, emotional healing, loving yourself, self-love. The Great Gathering, it's all coming together. Now, if this was a relationship question, this could be finding that perfect partner, you know, and it could be that you find the perfect partner through a party or a gathering of others. Or it could be that a friend introduces you, you know, because of the whole gathering aspect, you know. So whatever the question is, you know, it's up to you then to interpret the meaning of the card, and, you know, whether it's a yes or no answer, for example. So, you know, generally, if you feel like the card looks positive and uplifting, then that to me would be a yes. And if it looks a little bit like it's more of a shadow card, then I'd probably take that as a no. And if it's got aspects of both, then, you know, it could be a maybe. So just go with what feels right. There's no right or wrong. You know, with reading cards, it's very much all about using your intuition and listening to that inner voice. So once you've done your reading, you might want to journal around what images popped up in your head, what colours you see on the card, write down what it says, and, you know, meditate on that. And what does that mean to you? You know, what do you discover as a result of drawing this card for yourself? So point number 8 is closing the session. So once you've finished your reading, you want to close the session. And so I always do this by putting my hands in prayer position and thanking all my angels, all the highest beings that have been present for the reading today. I want to thank you. I have a grateful heart for the guidance that you have given me today. Namaste. Now, it can be as simple as thank you, guides. You know, I think it's just all about expressing gratitude for the guidance that you have received. So that's closing the session. So point number 9 is storing cards. So there's all these tales about how cards should be stored. Should I wrap them in silk? Should I put them in a bag? Should I put them in a wooden box? So my advice is whatever feels right to you, do that. Okay, some people feel like they want to wrap them in silk and sleep with them under their pillow. If that feels right to you, then feel free to do that. I don't do that with my cards. I simply put them back in their box, and I've got a large trunk in my office space here where all my cards are stored. So that to me that feels right to me. For other people, they might want to put them in a little satin bag with a crystal. You might want to put them in a wooden box. If you'd like to do that, feel free. There's no right or wrong way, like I say, it's just what feels right to you. And whenever you use the cards, you need to clear the deck anyway. So if they've been in the box, that's perfectly fine. Take them out, you know, knock them on the surface, put a selenite crystal on the pile, do whatever you feel feels comfortable to you for clearing the deck. And number 10 to finish is getting to know your cards. Okay, so my advice would be to draw yourself a card each day. So when you get a new card deck and you're new to reading cards, conduct a short reading for yourself every day, and this can be 5 minutes in the morning or at night before bed. You know, set the intention, clear the deck, ask your guides what message they have for you for the day, and pick a card. And, you know, sit with the card, journal around it if you want to, pop it in your handbag, you know, if you're going somewhere that day, or if you're going off to your office and you're travelling to work, pop it on your desk and look at it throughout the day to remind you of what guidance you're being given. And that's the best possible way to get to know your cards. It's just practice, practice, practice. So I hope you found this video useful, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, then please do feel free to comment or send me a message if you do have a question about working with cards, and I'll be very happy to answer for you. So wishing you all a beautiful Easter weekend. Take care.